all the panelists, and I think I have already briefed in terms of what discussions need to happen today. So I'll straight away start with my questions. The target is how to achieve that $10 billion exports and how to target 25,000 crore market. So keeping that is in mind is what our panelists have to answer questions. We have to keep ourselves away from what's happening today. What's our target? Keeping in mind present situation is what we have to answer. Let me first straight away go to Faisal. And why Faisal? Because he has one of the big manufacturing facilities in India. I think he will brief himself. And what's the plan? Are you aligned to what we are talking about in manufacturing? Can India do it? What are the challenges? These are my first questions to you.
Thanks, Prashant. We are a company based out of Bangalore into garment manufacturing for the last 13 years, supplying globally. We ventured into lingerie about 3 years ago. As a company, we do about 2 million garments monthly, 75% into exports. Lingerie at the moment is only domestic. We only do about 200,000 pieces a month. Coming to your question, Prashant, straight away, I do feel the next 10 to 15 years belongs to India. And if we do not achieve it, we only will regret it. Because the whole anti-China sentiment, globally the way we've been pictured across, it's a platform where we entrepreneurs have to invest, think out of the box and move forward. And intimate wear, which actually a lot of knowledge I have acquired here since yesterday, was the start of the garment manufacturing in this country. It's a great opportunity. I myself ventured into it 3 years ago, went to Sri Lanka, stood on the floor there across a few companies, got technicians from Sri Lanka, and we've started it off. It is difficult, to be honest. I've found intimate wear manufacturing far more difficult than garment manufacturing as such. But it's challenging, and because it is challenging, it's interesting. And because it's interesting, it has less competition overall. And that's the opportunity. If it was easy, everybody down the road would do it. Like in the last 30 years when exports opened up with no income tax, everybody ventured into it. But how many people have survived? And with that learning and with the kind of brands we have in India and the global pitch, everybody is looking at India. Who's not? We just need to move backward, go into the down the line, and one key area to that is our own interest levels and data management. I really feel the key is training, data, machinery investment, and scale. If we can manage this one behind the other, and I think somebody said that 4 Fs, I love that. I think you said it, or I think Harminder said it. I love that 4 Fs, was very, very interesting for me. So it is there to take it forward, and as Prashant said, let's ask questions, all of you, like under 45. It's a great opportunity. Like I started my own entrepreneurial journey at 34. 13 years down the line, we've reached a small target. We've got a much larger platform left forward.
Thank you. But you said apparel industry has some more challenges than this intimate wear industry has more challenges than apparel. What were those?
Basically the training of workers. Like when you manufacture a shirt or a trouser, your allowance is 1 centimeter. On a bra or a panty, it's 1 millimeter. So you just can't take a worker who's worked in the apparel industry and make him sit in the intimate wear. Every single tailor in intimate wear is from ground zero. It's a 10th pass, 9th pass, 12th pass, and he goes through the training from, he has never sat on a machine. That is the only way we've learned in the intimate wear, that you train him from that day. If he's manufactured shirts or t-shirts, he will never be able to, I should not say never, but it will be far more difficult for him to manufacture a lingerie. So it's that process is very clear, that he has to understand from day one. Even the supervisors, we've had challenges because we initially shifted some supervisors from apparel manufacturing to lingerie, and he was not getting the mind, कि भाई इसके अंदर, this is the difficulty, this is okay sir, this is okay. No, an intimate wear, nothing is okay. That's how we can achieve that quality, because in last 2 years, we've now done only domestic. Now we're looking at exports. Because in domestic, we've got people like, brands like all of you all, who accommodate and adjust. Exports doesn't care. We are competing with Bangladesh, China, Vietnam, Sri Lanka, of course, on the largest platform. So it's that training which is very, very key from the entrepreneur downwards. It's top bottom.
Thank you, Faisal. I think Faisal has touched a really important point. While just to give you a one-line example, MAS Holding Chairman Mr. Mahesh Amelian looks after only training. So with this, Rakesh ji, to you, while he talked about that nitty-gritties of you are also a manufacturer and a brand for intimate wear, do you find the manufacturing difficult? Challenges? Any challenges on the way? What's your understanding and observation on that?
Undoubtedly, I would say that lingerie manufacturing is the most difficult manufacturing in all the garments, if per se. If at all we see, there are a lot of challenges also, but we have to overcome. They are manageable challenges. It is not that it is unmanageable. So one, he has already pointed out that training is the most important thing. The second thing is, the first and the foremost thing I would say that we have to have a vision, a clarity of vision, that what do we need, what exactly is required. You have to think big. It is not that with the small scale or with the, you have to have a big vision of what you want to do. First and the foremost thing is that. And you have to follow that vision with the passion. Then automatically everything will follow. You have to have a scale to bring up that, if you can handle, maybe a lot of people must be handling 200 people, 300 people, 500 people. But if you can handle 300, 400, 500 people, you can also handle 10,000 people. This is what Harminder told me yesterday, that why there is a mind block, that why we can't handle 10,000 people, we can't handle 5,000 people. I know there could be some limitations, some challenges in terms of labor reforms, and I think we have already put up this issue with the government, and they are working on it. And they are very soon we will have a labor reforms also. So don't get worried about the challenges are there. There is a labor. There could be a labor issues also. There could be training issues. There could be raw material availability also, because in lingerie, the availability of raw materials is not very easy. You have to, most of the things you have to import, easily within the country it is not available. But our suppliers are also working very hard to produce those things which are required by us within the country. So now we'll have to, everybody thinks about the scale, everybody thinks about investing into machines, investing money into, a lot of people, we buy property and invest crores of rupees in the property. But if you invest those money into machines and in your industry, that is going to give you results in next so many years. So if we all scale up the things, the manufacturers will be bound to put up industries within the country. The best of the raw materials they will have to make it available within the country, because he will also see there is a sale in the market, there is a consumption in the market. So availability of raw material is a challenge which all, if we think big and we think big, we will certainly resolve this. The second thing is that understanding the technical issues. The technicality also, we don't get good learned staff also for the technicalities, how to set up the factory, industrial engineers, learned industrial engineer in lingerie per se. Even from the lift also, there is, I don't think any specialized course is there for the lingerie as of now.
So I'll come to that, sir. Whether
so
you need it or not is what my question will be.
Trained people from the faculties, that needs to be done, which will help the industry, to grow and make it an organized way. Like lean production can be implemented, and we also have to invest into IT also. Like everything has to be in computers, everything has to be on software, so that the defects, the productivity, everything can be managed through softwares. And we need to have trained supervisors, trained people, so that the production can be done in the what you call it, uh, the systematic production can be done out of it, using of good machines, using of good attachments on the machines. So all these know-how has to be available, easily available in the, to us.
So Sachin, I'll come to you on that, and I think we are focusing on operations. How do you look towards operations? How do you manage it successfully? What needs to be done to scale up? What's your views on that?
Hello. Hi. Good morning, everybody. Regarding the operations part, I just say there are two things which is most important. Right now, most of us who are sitting over here are like people who are taking care of their domestic brands majorly. So what I feel is, and we are running our own manufacturing units also, some are getting it done on their own, some are getting done from job work. So the concept of what Prashantji said is about having a world-class facility setup, which is totally export-oriented, where we can produce world-class qualities. That is quite achievable. That's fine. The only thing which is required from my understanding, what I've learned from, it is all about your mindset. When you're, right now we are catering to a domestic market, there is a different mindset which is required. You are handling operations in a different way. And because being a brand, you have that, what I say, that flexibility to adjust things, and you have that, there are so many things which are available to you. आपके पास margin इतना अच्छा है कि आप कुछ inefficiencies होती हैं, तो you can also accommodate those things. You have luxury to accommodate those inefficiencies up to a certain extent. Though the domestic market is also getting fast, more competitive. So there will be learning from that kind of setups. End of the day, we need those kind of setups, world-class setups for the domestic market also. And opportunity is big, whether it is domestic market where we are talking about around 91,000 crore by 2025 or $57 billion he was talking about for the exports. The opportunity is big in both. It is all about where you have to focus. See, either you can become a brand or you can become a manufacturer, as per my understanding. Manufacturing is always required, but focus is also most important. So you have to choose your line. Both are possible, both are easy and both are difficult. So it is up to you, what do you want to achieve? It may be different for a different person. They have a different kind of, there are family businesses, there are single owner business who is just doing himself everything. So the most important thing is there is a possibility. Now how to do it? If you want to set up our systems, training is most important part, that's fine, that's clear. And another important part, what I would like to say, you should have a systems which are measurable. There should be parameters, there should be benchmarks, which you can get from how the international factories are working. Prashantji and his team can also help to get us the benchmarks. This is the benchmark, which is we were discussing about machine-man ratio right now with Mr. Faisal. He was guiding us, okay, this is the way we measure. So these are the different things which need to be come up. Once we have that kind of parameters, obviously, everything need efforts and lot of efforts and dedicated efforts. So it's up to you whether you want to build a brand or you want to get into manufacturing, core manufacturing. I think that's everybody's personal choice. You can do both also. Maybe two brothers are there. One is handling only the exports part of it and one is handling only the domestic part. But I would see the only difficult part, if you merge both, it will be difficult. It's a different mindset when you run these two different companies. In one, you are the boss. In another, you have to take approval for each and everything from the buyer. So that's what.
Thanks, Sachin. And I think what Sachin pointed and then what Rakeshji was also pointing, that we need to have a clear vision and focus. Sanjay ji, two questions to you. One, what's your plan for investment? Do you think this 10 billion can be achieved? Will you be an important part of this journey? And second, what challenges do you think can come while, if those challenges are, then how do you convert them into opportunities? So, longish question, but I think it's too focused.
I'll just, Prashantji asked me, do I think India has it in the next 10, 15 years? Well, I think so. This is India's last chance to become a textile giant. I joined textile industry in about 2000, and I've been always hearing, there's a kahavat hai, sher aaya. I've been hearing in each and every conference, a lot of presentations by Prashantji also I've heard, we have such a billion dollar opportunity, we had MFA coming up, quota going, we were supposed to be there, China took it. Then we said, nahin, okay, China's too big, they work on different ways. Now we are going to do it. Then Bangladesh came, Vietnam came. Bangladesh, we had that excuse that they had that GSP preference with Europe. Vietnam did not have any preference. Now they've got it with Europe, but they still grew because they expected TPP to come, which didn't happen, but they grew capacities. Chinese invested, Koreans invested, Taiwanese invested. So, and why typically we always feel textile and apparel, specifically apparel, the advantage goes to the country which has a labor advantage. And we feel that the country which has cheap labor is the country which is going to grow. And that's why it moved from the developed world back end to Africa. Fortunately or unfortunately for India, did not pick up. Otherwise, we probably would be having much more competition than Bangladesh, Cambodia, Vietnam. India, labor is not, in my opinion, going to be such a significant factor after 10 to 15 years. The way automation is happening, the way robotics is going to take up. So now is our chance. If you want to do it, we do it today. We have a very progressive, supportive government. As Harminder ji said, he really didn't know what more the government can give to push the industry. But we still haven't really reached anywhere. If you want to do it, this is the chance. The new, what is it called? PLI is coming for garments. PLI 2.0 is going to come. We had a complaint with the government that it's only for high investments and garment industry, excepting for very few could not participate. They've heard it, they're going to be coming in very, very soon. That's the time for you to take advantage if you want to be in exports. And even if you don't want to be in exports, you want to be large in domestic. Domestic industry is again changing very fast, and the gap between exports and domestic is coming down. That's the good news. With e-commerce, earlier we lived in a fool's paradise, that hamara product theek hai. You know, because the feedback would never come because we would be selling to an wholesaler. The wholesaler will be selling to a retailer. The retailer, if he makes any comment, the wholesaler would not listen. And even if he listened, he would not tell us. He would just replace the brand. Today, due to e-commerce, and all of us, I presume, are doing e-commerce in whatever big way, big and small, and definitely it's going to get bigger, you're going to get direct feedback. Ek piece underwear or ek piece vest, if there's a problem, you get a feedback, and they say a company like yours has not been able to make the right quality, even if his perception of size is different. Unfortunately, in India, we don't even know what is the right size for 90. Someone makes it larger, someone makes it smaller than me. So there's a perception difference. We give size charts, but obviously no one looks at them. So that gap is going to narrow. So all of you think you're only going to be a domestic player, but very well, if you're going to be a good quality domestic player, you will get opportunities to export. If you have capacities and if you want to do it. So that it's not that it's going to be a clear one-off game, as it happens internationally also. The large players are able to produce domestic. It depends on their choice. Coming to TT, I will just skip that question. That's a personal question. And those plans, they always keep changing. But with PLI 2.0 coming, definitely we would be looking, because we have the infrastructure of building and land with us. Empty buildings are lying there. So we would be definitely looking at putting up capacities. Now, whether it goes for the domestic thing or export would depend upon circumstances. But definitely you would be expanding. There's going to be a lot of scope coming in. And the scope is going to be much bigger. If you notice yesterday's presentation, the unorganized market is still very, very large. And the opportunity will not come with that 8 or 10% CAGR just we are talking of. It will come from the unorganized customers shifting to organized customers, brands. And secondly, the global market. If we really want to grow, it's going to come from these two places. Domestic will keep playing. Whoever is more efficient will take more share, etc., etc. What was your second question, Prashant? Sorry.
So, what are the challenges what are the challenges to put up larger factories? And do you find, for example, we are talking about people challenges. Do you have, or do you find India will face people challenges?
Yes and no. We are a very funny country. We are going to be the highest populated country next year. We're going to surpass China as per predictions. We have loads of people. But still, if you talk to anyone into manufacturing industry, he's facing the problem of consistent, regular labor with low attrition. Our social structure is such that people go on holidays for Chhat Puja, Holi, Diwali, Shadi, harvesting, Nerega, and so on and so forth. So everyone's, if you're having migrant labor, we face the problem. Earlier they used to take maximum 1 month leave, now they're taking 1.5 to 2 months on the average leave. So your skill, your training needs to be more regular or more on the job. If you're having local labor like Mr. Faisal has, which he takes ladies from around, they have any puja at home, they have a marriage, the girls are getting married, they don't work. So the problem of, we have people, but still we don't have consistent supply of skilled people. So that challenge is going to remain, and training will be very important. And more important, which I very strongly believe, and I would like to hit it with a nail, is that go for maximum automation, go for maximum in capital-based investment as possible for the industry. Reasons are two. Number one, government is giving more incentives for investment, so your actual capital cost is lower. Secondly, when you invest in automation and capital machinery, you're inflation proof. What I mean is, if you have invested in a machinery, you spend 1 crore rupees. Today, if you do a cost benefit analysis, suppose a cutting machine, you maybe your human, by cutting it by hand, is cheaper today. Maybe it's coming to 5 rupees a piece, and if you take interest depreciation of a machine, it comes to 6 rupees a piece. But that 6 rupees is going to remain 6, because most of the constituents are fixed there, excepting whatever labor is needed. But that 5 rupees will definitely become 7, 8, 10. Labor inflation is something we will not be able to get away with, and it's going to be more than the average normal inflation, because labor is more aspiring. It's not only going to take money as per inflation, they're going to take money as per their changing lifestyle. So please invest wherever you can to automate. There's no other way if you want to have scale. I'm telling you, if you're going to be reliant, we have a lot of people, we have a lot of labor, it's going to be very, very difficult running factories and meeting export deadlines. As Sachin ji said, domestic chalta hai. This chalta attitude in domestic works and exports, as we said, there's no choice, they don't listen to you. They'll straight say, make an air shipment, or we are rejecting the stuff. And that's going to take everything, not only that shipment's profit, some other shipment's profit. And another thing, just a comment, we were talking of difficulty of lingerie. I think so difficulty is actually an opportunity. It creates much better exit barriers. If you saw post-COVID, everyone started making Bermudas or shorts at home. Everyone, because there was a huge shortage. But everyone cannot start making lingerie at home. So imagine the opportunity that you have if you specialize and go through the pain. The entry barriers are going to be much higher. The margins, that's why in lingerie, I will not, Rakesh, you will know better, are much better than we have for a male innerwear. And I'll also just correct, intimate wear that they were talking was of the ladies, the lingerie portion. There's no raw material shortage for the men's portion or the kids portion for innerwear or comfort wear. There's ample opportunity. Cotton is one of the base thing. Even if we move to the viscose family, we have Grasim and others, and now Reliance is also coming up with a lot of innovations on there. So there's no shortage or problem there unless you're doing something specified for an export buyer where they have someone nominated for that. So I'll leave it here. And one last thing, sir, if you need to grow, the most important thing are going to be your human resources. Nothing is going to be more important than that. Capital will not be a problem in this country if you approach it the right way. Human resources is going to be a big, big challenge. If you're not investing in today, you as youngsters, I would say, elders have a thing ki jaise chalta hai. Please study your HR systems, invest time there, try to revolutionize it. No, I'm not saying just make changes, revolution the whole way you look at things. I'm not saying that your cost goes up. In Vietnam, I was in Vietnam some time back, the labor cost is higher than India today. But still the labor cost is lower because they pay more per hour, but due to efficiency they pay less per piece. So that's what we will have to pay them. 15,000 नहीं उनको 17 दीजिए, but 100 के जगह 110 काम get 115, so that your cost is either same or less per piece. That's the way you'll need to go forward. If you don't, if we are all, it's going to be very, very difficult to scale up. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjay ji. And I think I would like to share that what all my speakers are saying here, the biggest learning is, you know, whenever something comes, for example, I had some medical issue, and if I know what is my medical issue, my problem is solved. So what we are identifying today, and I'll sum up also later, that these are the challenges, and we know to go. We have set a vision. If we know that these challenges are there, I think once we start searching for the solutions, we'll find the solutions. That's a good part. So what is needed is known. How? That's what we are trying to sort it out. That's the key takeaway from here on. While I'll change the question here, Rajkumar ji. Yeah.
I'll just add one thing. Just taking up from what Prashant ji said, you need to ask the right questions. Not only here, in your own business. If you could go back while traveling back home, just think over whatever you've heard and write down 5 questions that you think you need to address. अगर सवाल होंगे तो जवाब देने वाला यहाँ कुदरत में कोई ना कोई कहीं ना कहीं से आपको मिल जाएगा. So please note down the questions and asking questions. In my book, I've put one chapter just on the need to ask questions, one full chapter. And I'll just summarize in one line. It's better to be ignorant for a moment, be laughed for a moment, than being stupid for life.
Good. Thanks, Sanjay ji. So changing questions here, Rajkumar ji. So because I can change questions because all the panelists are so experienced, they can answer any kind of question. So while you are a brand and a manufacturer, and what we are talking about, the kind of targets we are talking about, do you think we can do it or we need partnerships on the way? And how to approach any of the problem which needs to be solved?
Thank you, Prashant ji. In fact, most of the discussions is done all through with the respective speakers. As far as partnerships are concerned, probably that is the only way to grow to the next level, because all the young entrepreneurs sitting here have seen into their own factories, into their own system, into their own marketing ways, what their fathers or elders have been doing. And how do they, even if they've gone to a marketing college, still they're taught something which is sometimes not implemented. There are a lot of problems. Old people working in the organization with the older methods. So to have partnerships into each segment, whether it is manufacturing, sales, systems, accounts, everywhere, is the only way to go to the next level. And I must tell you, the abundance of opportunity, as was told, that it is only 10-15 years hai apne paas. That is the right thing. और ये 10-15 साल effectively use करना, because things have changed and things are changing faster than we can think. What we think today, it's already passed in the few hours ago, and we are still working with it. So think systematically, organize yourself, and training is the way which will bring the efficiencies up. What Sanjay ji said, he went to Vietnam factory and the per piece output cost is lower, even if they are paying a higher salary. I was speaking to a company, Mass Holdings, yesterday, and they have factories in Sri Lanka and they have factories in India, the Brandis people.
Yeah, Brandis people.
Brandis people. And to my surprise, they explained that the efficiencies into their Indian factories are even better than Sri Lankan factories. It was basically purely because of the systems, what they put in, the trainings that they do, and the desire. They have achieved a level in Sri Lanka. Post that, they started factories in India. Now, देने की यहाँ तो हम पहुँचे हुए हैं. Expectation setting, training, both are the things which will be only happening, and partnership is the way. If हम लोग खुद अकेले नहीं कर पा रहे, we have to have a partner.
I agree, and I think I will deliberate more on partnerships. And let me explain. I'll come back to you, Jain Saab. First, I'll go to Sanjay on this. Sanjay, you said that a lot of your manufacturing is outsourced, right? So when I'm talking about partnerships, it's not about only technical partnerships. It's about vendor as a partner, your team as a partner, your technical inputs to be taken as a partner, accessories manufacturer as a partner. So when we say the ecosystem needs to be created and nobody can create ecosystem on its own, so what partnership means and what wonders can be created through those partnerships? What's your experience about that? You have been outsourcing a lot of things.
So as we all know, Spiker is a pure play denim brand, and the genesis of the brand happened with a product line which was a single product, mainly denims, you know, and then post that we grew into many more segments. Now, somebody breached upon a subject over here which said that the challenges are so many across all industries and all businesses, and hence you have to decide exactly what you want to be. So I feel the time is here, or it has already come over here, where you either have to be a manufacturer or a brand, because they both have their own sets of challenges. They have a very different mindset that's needed to succeed in either of them. And while there are many people over here who have very successfully managed to ride both the boats together, and that's kudos to them. But I think more and more, it's going to be really difficult for people to step up on manufacturing while as a brand they are growing. So somewhere we have to kind of decide where we need to be. And Spiker, who started off as a brand, actually we started as manufacturers for various other brands. And along the way, we set up our own brand and eventually realized and decided that we don't want to be manufacturers at all. And some 15, 18 years back, we gave up all our factories. And today, every single piece that we do is all outsourced. So clear concentration on the brand front, on the marketing front. Where these partnerships come into play and where the expertise or this decision helps is that from just a pure play denim supplier, now to step into the innerwear space for men, couldn't have happened had we not believed that partnerships are important. So today we are very confident about the fact that we can manage innerwear business as well without putting up our own factories, is only because we realized and we also relied on great partnerships as far as our core product manufacturing is concerned. So yes, for sure, as and when things are going to get more competitive and more heated, every space is going to keep on working harder on their area of expertise. And we are surely going to get much better manufacturers. We are going to get more demanding brands. And at some point of time, and so Spiker is one of those Indian brands who have made life difficult for manufacturers in India who do not consider Indian brands worthy of being well served. You know, I find this complex very strong in exporters, where they think that they will probably go and sleep with the foreign buyers. But when it comes to Indian buyers, they have this, chalta hai attitude, and which has hurt a lot of prospective vendors who have tried to work for Spiker. Because in India, we believe that if we don't keep our aims high, if we don't really deliver what we promise, eventually the brands are going to wither away. And today, Spiker is a 30-year-old brand and it's going strong. It's only because there has been very, very honest effort behind giving the best quality that we aspire for to our consumers consistently. And that is what we expect from our vendors also. So yeah, it always makes sense to ride on one boat so that you can become a master of that, and hence you can serve your consumers in the best possible manner. Having said that, I think all people on my right side are people who have actually, been into the manufacturing space and are also looking at exports in a very different manner. I personally feel that we are very, very blessed to be in the country, and we are at a very great inflection point, and as everybody has said, the next 20, 30, 50 years is for India, and it's a brilliant time to set up shop, to set up our own brands, because India has been very poor on brands. I think we are traditionally manufacturers, and we do not have the mindset of creating IPs. And I think this is a time for us to create our own IPs, because India is being looked at in a very different manner from the world's perspective. And when the whole world is coming here to feast on our consumer base, why shouldn't Indian people feast on the same? So I think from and especially this industry, I've realized that, you know, a lot needs to be done as far as the innerwear segment is concerned. And finally, it's just a small piece of garment. I mean, talking about the men's innerwear, there is not much really you can do to a garment, to an undergarment, right? There are just 3 or 4 components to the garment. So everything moves back to the concept on which you are building the brand. Because there is little that you can do finally on a piece of undergarment. You know, bras is a lot more demanding, as everybody has said. It's actually an engineering product, and so the better you are at that piece, you'll have much more success. But from an undergarment perspective, it is less demanding from that perspective. And I think, so we have to move towards what you think about the brand, how do you want to position the brand, what are the customer segments that you want to cater to. I'll just probably take a few more minutes and kind of give you my genesis of how Spikers moved into doing undergarments. So when I look at men's undergarments, I think we have a lot of great brands up to Lux, and then there is a huge void. Further up is a jockey who's kind of taken the whole world around. And beyond that, probably there's just a CK or a Tommy Hilfiger, and brands like us who are doing lifestyle brands doing undergarments. And supply chain becoming and being more critical over here, a lot of people are not being successful in that space. So we felt that, you know, instead of just proposing one more undergarment, which probably a jockey is doing, why can't we really look at a segmentation of an audience out of the entire universe who can be created into a very, very interesting cohort. And for me, the cohort comes very naturally because I am in the business of denims, and there is no other garment in the entire wardrobe which has got the individual standing as a denim has. And so what we thought was, instead of talking to a spiker consumer for a spiker undergarment, let me talk to a jeans customer for his undergarment needs. And hence the name Under Jeans was thought through. So in a way, I have made my consumer base very small from a much larger universe. But within that, I have moved away from a smaller spiker denim consumer to a jeanswear consumer. You know, from that perspective, I have increased my consumer base. So though niche, I still have a volume available for me to cater to. So tomorrow, if somebody from a Levi's family wants to buy an undergarment, under jeans can be an option. Had it been a spiker innerwear, a Levi's consumer may not ever wear a spiker innerwear. So from that perspective, I think this is where I feel a lot of efforts needs to go, and one has to start thinking on the brands, one has to start thinking on segmenting your audiences, because eventually there is little that you can do on the product. It's got to be done more out here. How do you win your customers? Because all this is elementary. I feel this is there. It's more of operations, but the need to create, the need, right, from moving from a need to a desire is the journey that we all need to transgress, and that's where we come in.
Thanks, Sanjay. And so from product development perspective and consumer understanding perspective, because what you do and what you feel that needs to be done more.
I completely endorse what Prashant is saying. If we look at the automobile industry, before the Maruti came into India, the customer had to buy what was available, which was 2 cars. And post Maruti, then the other companies, international companies joined in. And if you see in last 2 years, the kind of competition, the kind of offerings these people are doing relates to our industry. One point in time, what Sachin said, Chalta hai was okay. It is a past now. What MAF holding Faisal is doing for another brand, for domestic or for exports, that is our competition as a brand. And a consumer, if he's given that quality, that persistent quality, and what is coming from our brand is not similar or better, then the customer is gonna shift. So the orders, the quality levels, the automation, the manufacturing processes, everything has to be at par with international levels if the Indian homegrown brands have to sustain apart from growth. Growth is not sure, but sustenance of your own segment is possible only if we take up all the measures. And similarly in the branding side, till now, I don't see none of the Indian homegrown brands spending enough. The spending in the next 5 years has to be much larger in order to sustain again their own position. Otherwise, the abundance of products, as Prashant said, har bari jaate hain, naya kuch dikhta hai, is taking somebody's space, which means one piece, one day, if it is reducing, what is happening in the end of 1 year and 2 years and 3 years. So all the things put together, we have to be available to create the next level.
Thanks to all, and I am closing the panel here. Thank you.